Hello, and welcome to the BMC Quick Course Series. My name is Tom Beck, and I'm a DB2 software consultant with BMC Software. In this quick course, using what-if indexes, I'll show you how to use our Workbench for DB2 product to simulate the potential effect a new index might have on the performance of an SQL statement. Using what-if indexes can help you fine-tune both your SQL statements and the indexes for your DB2 tables to achieve maximum application efficiency. With what-if index processing in our Workbench for DB2 product, you'll be able to receive the immediate cost impact analysis a new index might have for an SQL statement. This allows you to compare and contrast the cost of SQL statements using existing indexes or validate the value of a new index before actually creating it. To utilize the what-if index feature of Workbench for DB2 after signing in, you should be brought to the File Locator perspective. From here, the first thing we'll want to do is click on the Performance tab. Clicking on the Performance tab brings us to the Performance perspective. Next, we'll want to click on the green plus sign toward the upper left of the Performance perspective. Now we have an SQL tuning tree where we can begin to create a what-if index scenario and see the potential impact a new index might have on an SQL statement. But first, let's select the subsystem we want to connect to. If not already selected, choose the subsystem you want to connect to from the drop-down list. After verifying the subsystem or choosing the subsystem you want to connect to, next, we'll add the SQL statement we want to use for the what-if index scenario in the statement area as shown here. Once we've added the SQL statement we want to use for our what-if scenario, let's explain it to see what we're working with as a baseline by clicking the Explain icon, which resembles a light bulb. Here's the explain statement in visual format. Notice the cost of executing this query is 92.8. We can also get more information about the performance of this query by clicking on any of the tabs in the Visual Explain section. Let's start out having a look at the index information for the objects referenced in our query by clicking Indexes. The Indexes tab lists all of the tables and indexes involved for the query we've explained. When you click on a table in the upper Tables section, a list of indexes associated with the table are displayed in the lower Indexes section of the perspective. The sysIBM syspackage table has two indexes, one of which was used by the SQL statement, as noted by the green check mark in the Used column. You can double-click on any column of an index in the Indexes section to display more information about the index. Here we can see some statistics about the index that we've selected. To see the index key information, click on Key Columns in the pop-up window. And here we can see the key columns for DSN KKX01. Notice there's no column for creator in the index list of keys, but our query was using it. We can use the what-if index feature of Workbench for DB2 to see what effect a new index might have on our query. Close out the pop-up window by clicking OK. To use the what-if index feature, click on the question mark in the upper section of the perspective. This brings us back to the performance perspective with a new statement in the tuning section of the perspective. You don't need to do anything here, as the same SQL statement previously used will also be used for our what-if index scenario and can be seen by clicking on the SQL tab in the performance perspective if desired. Click on the Copy button to create the new what-if index. It's important to note that using the what-if index feature of Workbench for DB2 will not actually create an index on your object. You'll be able to generate the DDL for the new index should you wish to, and I'll show you how that's done in just a minute. Now we have a copy of an existing index to work with for our new what-if index. We can specify the index attributes for our what-if index. In this case, I'll remove the clustering attribute and retain the uniqueness. Next, let's specify the key columns for our what-if index by clicking on Key Columns. Here we can see the key columns for the index we've copied on the right side and all of the available columns on the left. By using the Add and Remove buttons between the available columns and selected columns, we can create our what-if index with its desired keys, key order, and ordering attributes. For this what-if index, I'll use creator and name for the key columns. To move columns up and down in the index order, select the key column by clicking on it and use the up and down arrows in the bottom right to move its position in the key. The plus and minus signs can be used to create or remove index on expression. For this tuning session, I'll click the up arrow to move the creator field before the name field in the index. After finishing up with the order of the key columns, you can tweak some of the statistics to be used for the what-if index if desired. After tweaking the statistics to be used for the what-if index, click the OK button to return to the performance perspective where our new what-if index is now available for use by our SQL statement. Here we can see our newly created what-if index for the syspackage table. Again, this what-if index is virtual and has not physically been created as a DB2 object yet, but I'll show you how to generate the DDL for it should you wish to once you're satisfied with the tuning results. We can now explain the SQL statement again to see how our newly created what-if index might affect the performance. To explain the SQL statement again, click on the light bulb icon at the top of the performance perspective. Here's the new explain for our statement having access to the what-if index we've created. As you can see, we've achieved tremendous performance benefit having access to our what-if index, decreasing the cost of the query from 92.8 to 0.28. Now if we click on the Indexes tab, we can see our new what-if index was used by the query. If you're satisfied with the results of the what-if index and you'd like to generate the DDL to physically create the DB2 object, you can click on the Generate button in the lower right corner of the perspective. Here's the generated statement to create the new index. To save this DDL to a PDS on the mainframe, click on the Save button. Which brings us to this pop-up. Choose the PDS dataset filter where you'd like to save the DDL, or click the plus sign to add a new PDS dataset filter. Once you have the correct PDS filter, specify the member PDS name for the DDL to be saved. Then click the Save button. Now the DDL needed to create the DB2 index from our what-if tuning session in Workbench is available for use on the mainframe in the specified PDS, complete with the statistics we used in our Workbench session. From here, you can tweak the parameters you'd like to create the physical index as you wish. Returning to Workbench, you have a wealth of information available to you in your tuning session in the Workbench for DB2. I would encourage you to explore the information available to you in these tabs during your tuning session. Thank you for your time and interest in our BMC Workbench for DB2 using what-if indexes quick course today.